Sorry. Uh,
There you go. There you
I
go.
did. Okay, spotlighted for everyone. Yes.
Okay, great. Well, hello. Hello, everybody. Okay, let's get started. Hello, everybody. I'm Joseph Mcclendon III. And I will tell you a little bit more about myself here in a moment. But for now, if you could do these three things. Number one, mute yourself. And then number two, grab a pad and paper, something you can write with. And then number three, be ready to interact with me. I'll tell you why here in a second. And so before we get started, I want to thank you. Thank you for allowing me to share with you some things that I think you're going to find very valuable. And I want to start by saying my heart goes out to you, your family, your country, everything that's going on over there. And although I can never really fully understand what you're going through, I do want you to know that you're in all of our prayers over here, and all that you're going through. We pray for your safety and we pray for your strength in everything that you're going through. And I know that a lot of people are going through a lot of stuff that are on this call. And even to be on this call, I know a lot of you have done some sacrifices to do so. So I applaud your bravery, and I thank you for your trust thus far. And so again, I'll share with you a little bit about myself, kind of what qualifies me to be talking to you here today. But I also want to offer you something, and that is this. At the end of my session, I'm going to share with you some things for about an hour. And then at the end of my session, I'm going to do Q&A, questions and answers. And Zena will explain more a little bit later. But if you don't know how to already, you can raise your hand. It's called your digital hand. I believe it's in the chat there. And if you have a question, then she'll call on you and you can ask me a question. And I'll explain more later, but you can ask me about anything that you want. And so to get started, I'll share with you, and I was saying this to Zena earlier, I speak zero Ukrainian, zero, none. I'm still working on English. So I'll try and talk slow, or I'll try and talk, but if you don't understand anything, you can put it in the questions later. And so I'll share with you a little bit about myself, again, kind of what qualifies me to be talking to you here today. And then I'm going to tell you what we're going to do. Matter of fact, I'm going to tell you that first. Myself and everybody else, all of the other instructors on these calls for the next few weeks, we humbly offer what we've learned that have helped us, and also helped us help other people, because we're all teachers and mentors and coaches, and we help people. We're leaders in that way. And I know that what I have learned, what has changed my life, is what somebody has given to me. And so I humbly offer that forward. And so my background is, I'm a psychologist. I'm a neuropsychologist. I help people get over fears and phobias and emotional challenges and things that hinder their lives, that slow them down. But I'm a neuropsychologist. And what that means is that I'm a bit unorthodox in the way that I produce results. I do it very, very quickly, and it's lasting change. If you come to my office and you have a fear of dogs, take a guess what's going to be in my office. There's going to be a dog. And at the end of that session, you're going to hold the dog and you're going to be really great with that dog. And then I'm going to give you something to do so that you get better and better when I'm not around. And so that's my profession. I've done that for many, many years. I had a practice in Los Angeles for many, many years and helped thousands and thousands of people. And I also taught at the University of Southern California. I have a doctorate in neuropsychology, and I taught at the University of Southern California for 7 years. I taught this, I taught to engineers and managers and business owners for many, many years. And I loved that, but it was usually just small classrooms. And so that's my profession. But by trade, what I'm known as is what's called an ultimate performance specialist, kind of a high-end life coach or business coach, if you will. And I have the privilege of working with Academy Award-winning movie stars and Grammy winners and major sports figures, millionaires and billionaires and everything in between. And I share that with you not to brag or to boast, but for three really important reasons. Number one is I want you to know that this is not my first time doing this and I'm not making this up. And then number two is that I want you to know that I don't teach theory. And what that means is I don't teach something that I don't do myself. So everything that I'm going to talk to you about, I've done myself. And then the third thing, the reason I'm sharing this with you, is everything that I'm going to talk to you about is what I teach other people, and I've produced major results. And so when I say I don't teach theory, I mean that. I came from a place, and I am in no way going to compare my situation to your situation. That's not what this is about. I just want to share with you some of the things that maybe you can relate to and will help you understand, because I don't want you to just learn this stuff. I'm going to give you something to do to produce a change. Like I said, if you come into my office and you got a fear of dogs, there's going to be a dog. If you come into my office, you got a fear of heights, we're going to go up to the top of the building or go skydiving. Whatever it is, we're going to deal with it right now. And so I'm going to give you something to do, because it's the do that's going to produce a result. And I'm going to start right now. I'm going to ask you to do something. Type a 1 if you are willing to do what I ask you to do for this next hour. Just type a 1 in there. And everything that I do has a reason and a purpose, even though you might not understand it. Thank you. Thank you so much. And as you playful out, as you do this, you'll understand why here in a second. Now, I should tell you that there was a time in my life that I was homeless. I lived in a cardboard box behind an old drive-in theater out in the middle of the desert. And I became homeless, not because I had a bad childhood. My childhood was great. But when I was 17 and a half years old, 3 grown men tried to take my life because of the color of my skin. And it wasn't just what they did to me physically, it's what they said to me that damaged my psychology. It made me hate myself. And I wound up becoming homeless. And what changed my life was somebody that I didn't know gave me a book and made me read it. The book was called Think and Grow Rich. And I read the book. Now listen to me. I did what the book said. Because a lot of people have read the book, and a lot of people read a lot of books, but they don't do what the book says. I did what the book said, and my life changed. And I'm going to tell you about some of those changes here in a moment, because I want those for you as well, wherever you are. Because I understand, I know this. Some of you, most of you on this call were already successful before all of this stuff happened. And some of you still are. And some of you are looking for a way to pivot and turn things around. I want to talk to you about that. Well, I had a major pivot right there. It changed my life. And the reason I share that with you is because when I went back to the gentleman that gave me the book to thank him, I said, thank you. You've changed my life. What can I do for you? How do I repay you? What he said to me is what I'm saying to you. You repay me by doing what I'm doing for you. And what he said, you do what I've done for you, for as many people as you possibly can for the rest of your life. And that's why I'm here with you right now. And the only thing that I ask, and I'm sure it's the same with everybody else, and I'm sure you're going to agree with me, I want you to be successful. I want you to be abundant. I want you to get through all of this stuff, but I want you to help other people as well. I want you to make a difference in other people's lives, because my saying is, those of us that dare to dream and do something about it, while the rest of the world is having a nightmare, we're not only going to create abundance and wealth for ourselves, we're also going to be the beacons of possibility for other people, so we can change other people as well. So if you're willing to, if you get something of value from me or anybody else here, if you're willing to teach it to somebody else and help somebody else, type a 1, please. And by the way, there's a reason why I'm asking you to do this, because I want you to respond. Thank you. Thank you very much. Now, I like to have a lot of fun, so I'm going to joke around a lot while I do this as well, but I want to share some things with you. And my outcome is to give you something to do to make a difference. Because I want to talk to you, the biggest thing that we're going to talk about here today is how to shift, how to pivot, how to use what's going on right now, even though it's tragic, even though it's horrible, even though it's terrible. But how to use it to turn it around so that you make a difference now, but also in the future, it starts to become better as well. Because at the worst times of my life and the worst times of other people's lives as well, sometimes that's the bottom. But guess what? When you're on the bottom, there's only one way to go, and that is up. And so wherever you are right now, whatever you're doing right now, wherever you are in your life right now, I know some of you have even lost your businesses. I know some of you are working by day and then you're out fighting at night. I know some of you have lost, your team and so on and so forth, and you're wondering what to do right now. And some of you are doing okay. And so wherever you are, I want you to remember this saying: the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The next best time is right now. So wherever you are, it's right now is time to make the difference. And so what I'm going to show you is 3 very simple things. Number 1, I'm going to show you how you function as a human being, and then how to use that information to get the very best out of yourself. Number 2, I'm going to show you how to shift from wherever you are right now in terms of how you think and what you do to what you want. And then number 3, I'm going to give you something to do so that when I'm not around, that you continue to do it and you continue to grow. Type of 1 if you're up for that. Type of 1 if you're ready for that. And by the way, if you're not participating, if you're not typing a 1, then that already tells me something about you with regard to your willingness to play full out, because I only want you to do 4 things while you're here. Number 1 is to have fun. So everybody relax. And it's not just so we have a good time. I'm a psychologist, and here's what we know. I studied something called super learning. Super learning is, you've seen it before, where they teach little kids, 3, 4, 5, 10 years old, how to do adult things like virtuoso violin and piano and college courses. And you've seen these kids. They call them prodigies. But here's what they found out. The way that our nervous system is set up, that we learn more when we're children than we do when we're adults. And the reason being is because kids are that far away from having fun. Kids are always having fun. They can find fun in anything. And when we're having fun, all of our 5 senses are open and we take in more. Type of 1 if that makes sense. Remember, I'm going to get you sick, and there you go. Some of you are typing a lot of 1s. Keep on doing it. Yes. All right. Stay with me, because I promise you what you're going to get out of this might just be the most important thing, because it's the foundation of everything that you do. Whatever you learn is going to depend on what I share with you today. And it always has. It's not because I'm so special. And so that's number 1, is to have fun. The second thing is to play full out. That means do what myself or any of the other speakers ask you to do. You're doing it right now. You're typing these 1s. You're doing all these things, because engagement is what makes the difference. Not knowing something. Engagement, doing something, makes a difference. So number 1, have fun. Number 2, play full out. Number 3, have a very, very open mind. And what I mean by that, you might hear something that I say, but you're going to go, no, I don't believe that. No. And let me ask you a question. Type of 1 if you've ever heard something, somebody said something to you, and then you went, I don't think so. And then later on, you wish you would have listened to them. Type of 1 if that's happened to you. Yeah, everybody. And so I don't want that to happen to you. This is not my first time teaching this. And so one of the things that my friend Ariane was going to introduce me, and she probably didn't tell you, or didn't get a chance to tell you this. Maybe she did at another time. But I've had the privilege of speaking to live in front of over 5 million people. That's how I know Ariane, from years and years ago. I've coached thousands and thousands of people. I created something called the Neuro Encoding Institute, where I teach people to do what I do, coaches and mentors and mastermind people and things like that to do what I do. And so if I ask you to do something, it's not because I'm just making it up. I want you to have an open mind. I want you to try it on. because the worst thing that you can do is stay stuck in doing what you're doing. Pivot does not mean continue to do what you're doing. Pivot and change means you've got to do something different. So if you're willing to have fun and to play full out and have an open mind, type a 1. Now remember, I'm unorthodox in everything that I do. Even if some of you are going, well, what does this mean? Then that tells me a little bit about you. Snap out of it, take a deep breath and snap out of it, because this is the way you need to approach business. The last thing I want you to say of the 4 things, I want you to know of these 4 things, is that anybody that has ever been successful at anything, anybody that has ever made major changes in their lives, in anything, you, me, anybody, has always had a coach, a mentor, and or a teacher that they've allowed that coach, mentor, and or teacher to push them beyond what is comfortable. Let me repeat myself. Anybody that's successful in anything, even you've always had some sort of coach, mentor, teacher. It might have been a parent, it might have been a teacher, whatever, but you've allowed that person to push you. And with your permission, I would be honored to be your coach, mentor, and teacher today. If you would agree with that, type a 1 and we can get started. Fabulous. Now, I know some of you, I've seen some of you before at maybe a Tony Robbins event, a UPW or something. Type a 1 if I've seen you before or if you've seen me before, just so I know. Not a lot of people. Well, I guess so. Yeah, some. Okay. And so that is my background. And so I'm going to start off by saying this, that I'm going to give you a couple of formulas that you can do to make a change. Because, and again, I'm not comparing my situation or what I went through to yours at all. But I will tell you, these last few years have been a bit of a challenge for everybody, even myself. And this whole concept of pivot means to change. And so I'm going to teach you top down. Number 1, what makes you do what you do. And I'm going to ask you to take some notes to write this down. And the only reason I'm going to ask you to take these notes is because I want you to have it. So when you go back to it, you get to go, oh, all right, now I know why, and I know what to do. So I'm going to teach you how you function as a human being. Now, I usually have a technician here, but I'm doing my own switching over here. So you have to bear with me. So I've got to switch my own cameras, but you can still hear me. Okay, so, and I want you to write these words, these exact words, okay? At the top, I want you to write the word think. Write that word, think. Because that's what we all do. That's all we do all day long is think, think, think. And the thinking process is nothing more than you making pictures in your mind and the words that you say to yourself. You're doing it right now. Your imagination and your conversation that goes on. Now, the reason I say that is the number 1 thing. Everybody thinks all day long. But the reason I say that is in order for you to change, guess what? Guess what you have to change? You have to change how you think. And I'm going to show you how to do that. And here's the reason why. Because the next thing I want you to write down is feel. Feel. Because that's the other thing that you do all day long is you feel different emotions. Now I want you to think about this. Whatever you think will cause you to feel a certain way. Draw that arrow just like that. I want you to write exactly what I'm doing here. So I want you to have this diagram. Okay? Whatever you think is what's going to cause you to feel. If you're thinking and you're making pictures in your mind of the worst possible situation, if you're thinking in your mind that you're afraid of something, then you're going to feel that way. Type a 1 if that makes sense. If you're thinking that everything's going to be okay, everything's going to be great, and you're looking at the best possible scenario, then you're going to feel that way. That's it. I don't want you to be any more complicated than this. Listen, I can go on for days and days about how you think, but I'm not going to. I just want you to understand it's just pictures and words. And those pictures and words will determine how you feel. The next thing I want you to write is do. Because whatever you feel is what you're going to do. If you feel fearful, then you're not going to do as well. If you feel angry, then you're not going to do as well. If you feel frustrated, you're not going to do as well. But if you feel joy, then you're going to do more. You're going to do better. If you feel happiness, confidence, certainty, you're going to do better. So feeling causes you to do. Type of 1, if this makes sense. I know it's simple, but stay with me, because right now, even what you have right now, you know more than 90% of the people on the planet about how we function. Literally, whatever you think in any moment is going to determine how you feel. It'll determine how your heart beats. It'll determine the dopamines and the endorphins, or the cortisol, or the epinephrine. Those are the things that your body releases that makes you feel a certain way, and you'll do it. I want you to type a 1 if you procrastinate. Yeah. If you're not typing a 1, you're procrastinating right now. Everybody procrastinates. Procrastination, hesitation, fear of failure, fear of success, self-doubt, imposter syndrome, uncertainty, self-loathing. Those are the thieves of our dreams. But they are what? They're all emotions. They're all feelings triggered by whatever you're thinking about. And the doing is the procrastination. Even if you're not doing something, if you're not physically moving, you're still doing something. Now, whatever you do, the last word I want you to write is have. Have. Whatever you do will produce whatever you have. Whatever you do will produce what you have. So if you think good thoughts, and I know this is basic, if you think good thoughts, then you'll feel good feelings. If you feel good feelings, then you'll do good action. And if you do good action, you will have good results. Type of 1 if this makes sense. I know it's simple, but I got to start at this basic place. So wherever you are right now, you get to pivot. Okay, now, I want you to remember, we're always going to come back to this model, because anything that you've ever done or anything that you're doing is always going to go, well, wait a minute, before I did this, this was what I was thinking, and this is how I was feeling. So simply put, whatever you want in your business, in your life coming up, then guess what? We got to start right here. And everything else is going to fall in place. Sorry about that. I'm running my own tech over here by myself. Okay. And by the way, it's early in the morning here. I know it's later for you out there. All right. All right. So keep that and come back over here. Again, I usually have somebody else that does these switchings for me, but it's just me. So thank you for your patience. So knowing that whatever you think is what's going to make you feel, whatever's going to feel is what's going to make you do. I want to talk to you about the 3 pillars of what you need to pivot, to go to the next step. Now, let me tell you a really quick story first. Something that happened to me. As you know, we're coming up on 3 years of this COVID-ness. Well, March 15th, 2020, I got a phone call. Now, by the way, my livelihood and what I do, and I have a passion for helping people. I speak live in front of large audiences, anywhere from 5,000 to 25,000 and 35,000 people at once. I do very large seminars. One of my business partners, some of you know, is Tony Robbins. We do those. I do my own seminars, and that's what I do. Now, prior to COVID, I was booked every single month into 2023, every single month, all over the world. And up until March 15th, my events kept getting canceled because of COVID. People were saying, well, we can't do it, so they're going to get canceled. And then one day on March 15th, I got a phone call from one of my promoters in Singapore. And he said, Mr. Mcclendon, we're going to have to cancel a couple of events. And I go, no problem, because I understood. And so I went to my calendar and I erased it. And then I looked at my calendar and there was nothing for 3 years, nothing. Everything was gone. And in that moment, I'm human, I got scared. In that moment, I went, what am I going to do? And I literally said out loud, well, what am I going to do? And then something came over me. In just a matter of seconds, something came over me and I got a big smile on my face. And I jumped up and I ran into my bathroom in my office. And I looked myself in the eyes and I said, Joseph, what do we get to do now? What do we get to do? And as a result, I've written another book. I started the Neuroencoding Institute, and I've actually, I built this studio, all of these things. Let me show you around my studio here. I built this here. I built this here, and I've done, now I speak live. Now I'm talking to you. I get the opportunity to talk to you. Why do I say that? Is because I've pivoted. Income went up. I get to stay home. I get to do all of those things. Now, I'm not saying that to brag or to boast. I just want you to know that what happened to me in that moment, instead of staying in fear, which fear means I'm just looking at what's the worst possible scenario, I automatically changed. I defaulted to that. Listen, your body and brain do not know the difference between what's real and what's not when you imagine it. And your imagination is just thought. Type of 1, if that makes sense. Your body and your brain do not know the difference. Let me give you an example. Why do we get aroused when we think about making love to our partner or to our lover? It's not happening. Why do we get aroused? It's because the brain is making a picture and sounds of that happening, and the body believes it and it responds. Why is it that, matter of fact, let's do something. Here's what I want you to do, just to prove this. Close your eyes. Everybody close your eyes. Close your eyes. Now, with your eyes closed, I want you to imagine it's a very hot day. And I want you to imagine that you are in your living room in your house. And I want you to imagine that you go into the kitchen and you open the refrigerator, and there on the refrigerator and on the shelf is a big, fat, juicy yellow lemon. Roman Radomansky, close your eyes. There you go. I want you to take that lemon out, and I want you to go over and I want you to get a knife and I want you to cut that lemon in half. I want you to take that lemon and I want you to bring it up to your nose and I want you to smell that lemon. Now, I want you to take that half of the lemon, I want you to put it down. Now I want you to take the other half of the lemon and I want you to pick it up, and as you get ready to smell it, I want you to take a bite out of it. Matter of fact, I want you to take your front teeth and I want you to rake the meat of that lemon out, and I want you to chew it up. Don't swallow it, but I want you to chew it up, and I want you to let the juice run underneath your tongue, and I want you to chew it, and I want you to crunch the seeds of that lemon. Now, open your eyes. What's happening in your mouth right now? Type of 1 if you're salivating. Yeah, your mouth is watering, right? Now, look around. There's no lemons in the room, is there? There's no lemons. But really, really important, everybody look at me because I want you to understand what just happened here. Your brain made pictures because of my words and the words that you said to yourself. That's thinking. And your body says, that's real. I feel like it's real. And your body responded by salivating. So you did that example that I just showed you right here. You thought it, you felt it, your body did it, and now you have a watering mouth. Type of 1 if this makes sense. Again, these are the basics. So when I show you how to think, then it'll be simple for you. So that's the way that it works. Not some of the time, not most of the time, but all of the time. Your entire day and everything that you do and everything that you will do comes down to whatever you're thinking first. Okay? Now hold that thought and let me teach you the 3 pillars of pivoting, or what I call leveling up. Okay? Come back over to the board. Now I'll save this. And I actually already wrote it. Okay? Thinking, the most important thing that you do is something called your psychology. Okay? Let me rewrite it for you. I actually wrote this earlier. Psychology. Your psychology. Write that word down. Now, for most people think that's a big word. I don't know what that is. I'm going to tell you what it is. Okay? And I want you to write these words. Your psychology are your beliefs and your thoughts about you, others, and your environment. That's it. You don't have to overcomplicate it. That's all your psychology is whatever you're thinking about you, what you believe about yourself, what you believe about other people, and what you believe about the world around you. Type of 1 if this makes sense. That's all it is. And so if I can get you to have better thoughts about yourself, better thoughts about other people, and better thoughts about the world around you, then guess what? Bam, 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 and you'll have better. Type of 1 if this makes sense. Because no matter where you are in your business, and I know a lot of you are on here because you want more business coaching. Well, listen, whatever you learn from anybody else, I want you to be able to foundation in this and go, okay, if I have a plan of growing my business this way, or making more money this way, or being able to save my employees or whatever, I've got to change my psychology about what I think about myself, whether I can do it or whether I can't do it. I got to change what I think about them, whether they can do it or whether they can't do it. I got to change my thoughts about the world and the situation that's going on. Because some people look at the rain as being the worst thing, and some people look at the rain as being the greatest thing. What do you do? What's going on in your country right now is horrible. It's terrible. I know that. I got that. And I promise you, this too shall pass. This too shall pass. No matter what's going to happen, there's nothing you can do about this fact that in 1 year, it's going to be a year from now. And in 2 years, it's going to be another 2 years. You can't stop time. And things will change. And what you do right now about how you think will determine how you're going to wind up in the end. Type of 1 if this makes sense. Now, these 3 things right here, or this, your psychology, these 3 things are the pillars, the first 3 pillars of what I call leveling up or going to the next level or pivoting. You got to change this. But I'm going to break it down because remember, I said I'm going to give you something to do. Let me get rid of this. I didn't something to do so you get a result. Let me just get another page. Okay. Now, these next things that I'm going to show you is I want you to understand. Remember, I'm going to give you all of these things. I get mixed up on the cameras. I usually have somebody switching this. I'm going to give you these things so that you have them first. And I want you to write this down because you hear a lot of people talk about number one, mindset. Type of one, if you've heard a lot about mindset, right? Yeah, mindset implies that you have a set of thoughts about one or two or a few specific things. That's not what I want you to think about. I want you to think about is your mindset now means your psychology, what you think about yourself, other people in the world around you. And by the way, I'm going to give you something to do to change it all. That's going to be simple. That's going to hit them all. The second thing is that you need to have is a vision. A vision about what's going to happen. You got to cast a vision of what's going to happen in the future. You know this. If you have a business, matter of fact, anything that you have at all, it's because you had a vision of something in the past and you made it happen. Without a vision, it doesn't happen. But I want to go a little bit deeper so you understand. So when I show you what to do, you're going to understand, well, wow, this works with everything. Okay. A vision is different than a dream. A vision is different than a dream. Most people have a dream. Everybody has a dream. But let me ask you a question. Do you even remember what you dreamt about yesterday? No. Dreams are temporary. Dreams are something that makes you feel good in the moment, but they're temporary. A vision lives inside of you. A vision is the carrot on the stick. A vision is what makes you get up early and stay up late and do the extra stuff so you get what you want. A vision is a dream that is visited often with emotion and movement. That's how it becomes who you are. Now keep that thought because you're going to need that later. And then lastly, you've heard a lot about this, and that is action. And this is the do part. You got to do something. Now, I'm not here to tell you what to do. I shouldn't say most of, but some of the other coaches and mentors, and there's some amazing people that you're going to see over the next few days, next few weeks. They're going to give you some plans on what to do. And you're going to use those to take action. But I want to add another word to that. I want you to write underneath here, activity. You see, action and activity are two different things. Action means you're doing something once or twice or 3 or 4 times or maybe even 10 times. But that's not going to get you the results that you want. You see, if I go in the gym and I want to build this muscle, and if I lift that weight 10 times, is that going to build this muscle? No. What's going to build this muscle is if I go lift that weight 10 times tomorrow, the next day, and I do it for 6 months. So I want you to think in terms of activity, because what I'm going to ask you to do is not just something that you do once or twice. Remember what I said. I want to give you something that you can do when I'm not around that's going to help you grow. Type of 1 if that's what you want as well. And so I'm going to tell you something, and you can't tell anybody. This will be our little secret. Let me come back over here, okay? Now, again, I don't teach theory. Don't tell anybody this, okay? This year, I'm going to be 69 years old. Thank you very much. Thank you. It's the truth. Now, you can't see it. I do have some gray hair and things like that, but I'm going to be 69 years old. And I'm not sharing that with you to brag or to boast. I'm telling you that what I'm teaching you is what I do to have the energy that I have, to have the amazing looks that I have. And I teach people how to do that as well. So I'm saying that because I want you to know that what I want for you is I just use this stuff that I teach you here. Now, I need you to write another thing down. Let's go back over here. Because, by the way, you must know what you want. And see, this is part of your vision. What do you want? Now, I'm going to tell you what you want, and I'm going to have you write this down. And you tell me if this is true. Let me get rid of this. You can't see that yet. I should have erased all of this stuff before. Okay. Now, I want you to write this down. All right. This is what you want. I promise you. When you write it, you're going to think about it first. And then when I tell you what it is, you're going to go, well, yeah, Joseph, that's what I want for myself, for other people, and for the world around. Watch this. This is what you want. You want to be more wealthy. Wealthy. That's an A. Now, some of you are going, no, Joseph, it's not about the money. It's not always about the money. I didn't say anything about money. I want you to write this down. Here's what wealthy means, because here's where the lights get to come on. You get to go, yep, that's what I want for myself. That's what I want for other people. That's what I want for the world around. Watch this. Wealthy means to be healthy, happy, and financially abundant. Now, type of one if that's what you want. Yeah. Now, it gives a whole new, wait for it, way of thinking. Now, when you think about being wealthy, healthy, happy, and financially abundant, how does that make you feel? Type of one if it makes you feel good. Type of one if it makes you feel like you want to do something about it. Yeah. Where was it? Bear with me. I just got this thing. So yeah. So where did we go? Okay. Okay. Makes you want to do something about it. So everything that we just talked about, everything that we talked about now is at play. Oh, we won't go back to that. Okay. Healthy, happy, and fun. So all of those things, it makes you think differently. When you think, okay, wealthy means to be healthy, happy, it makes me feel good. Now I feel like doing something. Now, with all of those things, with all of those pillars that we just had, we're going to go here and I'm going to give you something to do. Now, in 10 minutes, let me switch back over here. In 10 minutes, I'm going to give you something to think in your life. And then in 10 minutes, I'm going to take some questions. So you can ask me anything about anything. And as I said, you're going to raise your digital hand and Zena will choose you and bring you up and you can ask me a question. Okay. But let me tell you what to do first. Okay. That's going to affect everything. Now, by the way, I have to answer my door. I'm having a sauna. I said this to Zena. Give me 30 seconds. Okay. Sit down. Hi, how are you?
Very good. How are you?
Oh, great. Fantastic.
What's your name, sir?
I'm Joseph.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Back. Where am I? Yes. Sorry about that. All right. So now let me tell you something, a little secret. How many of you have ever played dominoes when you were a kid? You stack those dominoes up and you hit one domino, it knocks the next one down. You know, type of one, if you know what I'm talking about. Okay. So I'm going to give you a domino effect. Okay. And this domino effect is going to change everything because I have something, you see it on these signs around me called neuroencoding. Neuroencoding is programming yourself to default to your best behavior. Remember a while ago when I told you that everything got canceled and I automatically went, hey, what do I get to do? And I started to think differently, and as a result, my life changed. That's because I encoded myself. So I'm going to give you the fundamentals of that, okay? And here's how it works. I think I already wrote it down. Okay? First off, hang on. Oops, I forgot to change the camera. Okay? And I want you to do this. First off, remember what I said before. Whatever you look at is how you're going to feel. Remember biting into that lemon. It made your body respond that way. Wherever you look is where you're going to go. You know, I grew up in a small town, and in a small town, people used to run into telephone poles out in the middle of the desert. They'd be driving down the street and they'd run into a telephone pole, and I never could figure it out because a telephone pole is only this wide. But they're 30 yards or 30 meters in between each other. And if they lived, they always said the same thing. The last thing I saw was the telephone pole. Why did they hit the telephone pole when they had 30 yards to miss it? It's because they were looking at it. It's that simple. Whatever you look at is what you're going to feel and what you're going to do. When you're looking at the telephone pole, even though you don't want to hit it, you're still looking at it and your body goes, go get that. Type of 1, if this makes sense. And so we're going to use the same thing, licking into the or biting the lemon, driving into the telephone pole or the space to change how you think. I know this is real simple, and I hope I get to talk to you again and to go into more depth, but maybe not. So the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to write it down. And I want you to write this down. Step number 1, write. Oops. It down. Okay, that's step number 1. Write it down. Why? Because you can look at it. Because you can look at it. When you look at it, it's just like looking at the space. I mean, looking at the telephone pole, or looking at the limit, because it's making you think. And when you're going to write down is those 3 things that you want: to be healthy, happy, and financially abundant. And you can give details. You can say, I want to weigh, this much weight. I want to have this kind of body. I want to have this kind of energy. But you must write it down. Now, by the way, I do an unbelievable amount of business consulting, and this is the first thing that I teach them. Because they have to know what they want. And so what do you want for you? So when you write it down, then guess what? You're changing your psychology, because your brain is going, this is what I want. This is what I can be. So write down your health goals first. Remember what I said? Healthy, happy. Write down your happiness goals first. I want to have a great relationship. I want to wake up every morning with a smile on my face. I want to be able to help people. I want to do this. You write it down. And I'm not saying type it into your computer. I want you to get a journal and I want you to write it down. You're going to understand why here in a moment. And the third thing that you write down is the financial abundance side. How much money do you want to make? I want $50,000 or whatever your currency is every month without having to work for it. Without having to go to work. I want it to show up. I want it to be residual. Now, by the way, I want to tell you something. Doing this that I'm telling you right now, this step, I didn't tell you this in the very beginning. My very first financial win was when I was 28 years old. 28 years old. I literally became a millionaire at 28 years old. That's 30 years ago. That's 40 years ago. And I did it because I took a weekend course in real estate, a weekend course, and I bought 26 houses. But I knew this. I knew to write it down. Now, I got so much more I can teach you about it, but that was the first step. I wrote down what I was going to do, what I was going to have. And this house that I'm living in right now is my 32nd house. And I've been very successful in real estate, in music. I've been very successful in network marketing. I've been very successful in I've written 7 books. The very first one was a New York Times bestseller, and I've been very successful at what I do right now. I'm not saying this to brag or to boast. I'm telling you, this is my secret weapon. Write it down. Type of 1 if this makes sense. You can probably tell I get pretty excited about this because this is so freaking important that most people don't do it. Step number 2. Visit it often. Now, here's what that means. Read it out loud often. Why? How did you get good at driving a car? Because you did it over and over again. How did you get good at riding a bicycle, tying your shoes, or anything that you do? Is because you did it over and over again. Here's how your brain and your body works. Anything that you repeat will become automatic. So if you're reading what you wrote down over and over again, you're going to believe it. And a belief is nothing more than a, wait for it, thought. Remember what I said? Think, feel, do. So you'll go through your life starting to feel better and feel more enthusiastic about yourself. Type of 1 if this makes sense. This is how you pivot, ladies and gentlemen. You got to pivot with you first before you pivot your business. Step number 3. You must celebrate. Now I'm going to change colors on this because it is that important. Celebrate, celebrate, celebrate. Because this is the part, if you guys know me, that you achievers fall down on the most. This is the part that most of you, even when you're successful at something, you beat yourselves up. But you got to celebrate. And what are you celebrating? That you wrote it down and you visited it. That's it. Why? Because your nervous system, let me get back over here. Your nervous system, which is the smartest part of you. Your nervous system, anytime you celebrate, your nervous system says, wow, what just happened? Because anytime you celebrate, anytime you go like this, watch this, watch. When you go, matter of fact, everybody do that. I can see you. I want everybody to do this. Go. Do it. Oh, that's spectacular. You too, I can't pronounce your name. Constantani, I can't pronounce your last name. Do it. Come on, go like this. Go. There you go. Perfect. Now you think I'm being silly, but understand this. You are a mechanical being. When you smile, it makes your brain and your eyebrows go up. It makes your brain release something called dopamine. Dopamine and another thing called endorphins. And those are the pleasure drugs or the pleasure hormones that your body releases. And every time that it happens, your brain goes, what just happened? Oh, let's do it again. But guess what you do? You beat yourself up. Even when you're successful at something, you go, I should have done it faster. Or somebody else did it better than me. Type of 1 if that's been you. That doesn't work. You got to celebrate. Because every time you celebrate, your brain is going to go, what just happened? Let's do it again. And so back over here, if you write it down, then you got something to look at. If you visit it, I'm going to tell you how to visit here in a second. Then you start to repeat it over and over again. Your body starts to remember it and starts to believe it. And then when you celebrate and you just go like this, you pat yourself on the back, you shake your ass, or you go like, yes, I'm a badass. I'm amazing. Then dopamine release and your body goes, do it again. And that's what makes you get up early, stay up late, do the extra stuff that other people won't do. Type of 1 if this makes sense. Because anything that you've gotten good at, I'm trying to tell you how to become a different person than you are right now, how to become even better than you are right now. Because you will start to believe what you wrote down because you visited it over and over again, because you celebrated it. And when you celebrate, it says, let's do it again. Let's do it again. Let's do it again. Now, lastly, let me tell you how to do it. Now, how many of you have one of these? Type of 1 if you have a cell phone. Yeah, it's the law. You have to have one now, right? This is going to be your friend. So here's your assignment. Step number one, all I want you to do, and hopefully I'll get to talk to you again because there's so much more I get to teach you. I want you to write down your goals for being wealthy. Just start there. Now you can use this for anything at all. Your goals for your business, your goals for your employees, your goals for your family, all of those things. This is not just goal setting. You're going to write it down. You know, literally, I know this sounds arrogant. When I was 20 years old, I saw a man, his name was Jack LaLanne, and Jack LaLanne was 64 years old. And Jack LaLanne, and he passed, I think he lived to 100. Oh no, he lived almost to 100 years old. But every birthday, and he was, from a long time ago. Now I was in my 20s, he was already in his 60s. And on every birthday, what he would do was he'd do like 1,000 push-ups, or he would tow a boat. He'd swim with dragging a boat across the ocean, things like that. And I saw this guy and I said, when I'm 60 years old, I want to look like him. So guess what I did? Somebody tell me what I did. Put it in the chat. What did I do? I saw what I wanted. Yes, I wrote it down. I said, I want to have a body like Jack LaLanne when I'm 60 years old. And I wrote it down. That was what I wanted for my health. I wanted to have energy. I wrote all that stuff down. Now, I changed it through time and I added to it and things like that. But as I thought about it, I would imagine myself that way. I would think myself that way. Remember, psychology is what I thought of myself. It's the very first thing, it's the most important thing. So here's what happens. You're going to use your phone and you're going to tell your phone. I use Siri. And I tell her to remind goals every 2 hours for 10 days. So when this alarm goes off, I grab my pad and my paper and I read out loud. I, Joseph Mcclendon III, will have this kind of health and this kind of happiness and this kind of financial abundance. And then when I'm done, I pat myself on the back. I shake my ass. I put a smile on my face. And then I go about my day. 2 hours later, it goes off again and I do it again. You do this for 10 days. At the end of 10 days, you're going to be amazed at what happens to you. Because you're going to start to think differently for your employees, for your team. You're going to think of other possibilities. And it's going to become automatic. It's so unbelievably simple. It's ridiculous. Now, I have so much more that I can teach you. So many things that I can share with you. But when they asked me to do this, I thought, okay, what's the most important thing that I could share with you and what I could do this? And I'm going to take some questions here in a moment. But before I leave, I'm going to ask you, like I said, the most important thing that you can do is not only just learn it and do it, but teach it to other people as well. And I humbly offer you, you can follow me at I am Joseph Mcclendon on Instagram, and you can learn more there and things like that, and look into the Neuro Encoding Institute and things like that, where I teach people how to do what I do. But all of these tools are things that just work, period. They just work. They don't just work for me, they work for other people as well. And so I want to thank you, but I want to take some questions here for a little bit. So if you have a question for me, it doesn't matter what it can be about what we talked about, or it can be about anything at all. I'm a coach, I'm a mentor. You can ask your question. You can raise your hand. You can either just go like that, or you can raise your digital hand. I think Zena can see you, and then we'll pull it up. And don't be shy. This is your opportunity. So Zena, do we have any questions?
I'm waiting for raised hands. By the way, the raising hand is under reactions. But before we start with that, Ariane just joined and she wanted to add something.
Hi,
So
Joseph.
Hi.
Hi, sweetie. It's so good to see you. I had something show up, so I wasn't there to intro you, but I've been with you for the last half an hour. I just want to say it's been such a gift. Thank you for joining this amazing program. I've known you for 25 years. It's wonderful to be able to share this with you. You, everything you've said, right? I've taken notes, guys. I've written it down. I've heard it a lot of times before, and every time I hear you, I hear something special. I encourage everyone on this program to follow Joseph, get a book, follow him on Instagram. You're a leader, a role model, and a mentor. So I love you. Please ask him questions. It's very special that we have him. Bless you, sweetie.
My pleasure, and thank you for allowing me to do this, and thank everybody for your trust for this as well. So don't be shy. If you got a question, you can ask me anything at all. And Ariana's true. Yes, go ahead.
Helen, you can unmute yourself.
Okay.
Sure. Can you hear me?
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Great. So thanks a lot. It's awesome. The information is great. I'm inspired. And my question is, as I understand, my success depends on me, right?
Yes.
But what about a coach? Like, if I still feel that I have a lot of fear, do I need to have a coach, or can I do everything on my own? I mean, can I cope with my fears, with my problems?
First off, let me ask everybody else, please mute yourself. We can hear somebody else's voice. Please mute yourself, everybody else, except for the person that's speaking. Perfect. Thank you. The question is, yes, you can do it on your own, but get a coach, get a mentor, get somebody that's been there, done that, somebody that has a different perspective outside of you. Remember what I said in the very beginning, anybody that's ever been successful in anybody has had a coach, a mentor, and a teacher that they've allowed that person to push them. So what I encourage you is to get a coach. It'll condense time. You can do it on your own, but it just takes more time. So I encourage you to get a coach.
Thanks a lot. Thanks.
You're
Joseph.
welcome. You're absolutely welcome. Anybody else?
Okay,
You
we
can
have
ask. Okay.
Question from Roman.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Joseph.
Hi, Alec. How are you?
Thanks, fine. Thank you for your energy. It was positive.
It's my pleasure.
Yes, one thing, just for information, while we were at webinar, it was one air alarm, but we think positive and it's okay. So just for information, it's okay. My question regarding, I think you're talking about affirmations, yes? Every morning, every 2 hours.
No.
It's not affirmation.
No, it's not affirmations. Yes, go on.
Okay. So I would like to know how many points, goals at your list that you're reading every day. So it's like 1 minute, 2 minutes, because I have some points, but every day it's come one by one. It's more than, I think, 5-10 minutes, 5 minutes that I'm reading, for example, in my list. It's okay, or it should be less than, I think, 10 points, 15 points. How much?
5 minutes. 5 minutes is great. Absolutely great. Listen, you're going to expand this and you're going to be more detailed later. But for now, just keep those 3 things just for this 10 days. I want to give you a practice of something that you can do for whenever you want anything. Okay. So 5 minutes is great. 10 minutes is great. You know, as long as you do it with enthusiasm, with your eyes up while you're smiling, and as long as you celebrate. Okay. So no, that's perfect.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're absolutely welcome.
Hi, my name is Alexander Dovzhenko. I founder and chief executive officer advertising agency Enter Esport. We work with influencer market and esport. Sorry for my bad English.
No, sorry for my bad Ukrainian.
Okay. And my question, how did you imagine yourself at 20? And what would you say to yourself at 20? Thank you.
I said similar to what I'm saying right now. I'll tell you what I say right now. Okay. And remember what I said earlier. The most important part of your psychology is what you think of yourself. But what you think of yourself is what you tell yourself. And I say to myself, and you don't have to remember this, you can make up your own. I say my own name. I go to the mirror every morning, I look myself in the eyes and I say, Joseph, I love you. And I say, Joseph,
really
you are, and I go, Joseph, you are a God-guided expression of health, wealth, happiness, and joy and financial abundance. You can do anything that you want. And remember that life is exactly what you dare to make it. So dare to make your life magnificent. I say that to myself. And because I say it to myself so many times, I believe it. I'm not, I didn't believe it in the very beginning. I was homeless. And so I just say it because that's what I had you do here, is because I just want you to do those simple things first. Because if you start to believe that, then you start to believe anything that you can do. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Thank you for your answer.
You're absolutely welcome.
Hi, Joseph. Thank you for your speech. Yeah, the last thing is just to do everything you've told.
My pleasure.
So I have a question regarding when you started. Yeah, how you explain that coaching is needed for Ukraine. Coaching is still a new thing, and a lot of people think I will do it by myself. I don't need coach. I don't need to spend money. Yeah, so maybe just your thoughts here. Thank you. Yeah,
my thoughts are this. I used to feel the same way. And I needed to do everything myself until I started to realize, well, wait a minute, that's slow. Let me ask you a question. Type of 1, everybody, type of 1, if you want what you want sooner rather than later. Yeah, that's something that I call further, faster. Now, you can do it on your own, and you can. It's going to take longer, and you're going to have to go through a lot of stuff. But instead, find somebody that's been there, done that, and is a great coach or a mentor, and it's going to teach you. Because that person can tell you, go here first, go here next, go here, and they can show you. It's just much, much quicker. Again, there's so much that I can teach you. It's something that I call neuroencoding. As a matter of fact, if you go to neuroencoding.com, you can see the spelling. And you can look on there, and I teach you some things about how to program yourself even more, so that you will, and that's just, my small amount of coaching, if you will. But I encourage everybody, find somebody. It doesn't have to be a formal coach, but find somebody that is going to teach you the things that you need. Don't do it the hard way. Don't do it the long way. Listen, just I know it's a long answer to your question, but when I went to the seminar that I told you about how to buy houses for no money down, I went to that guy and I said, would you teach me? He was my coach. He was my very first coach. And he told me what to do. And I did what he said. Remember in the beginning, I said, I read the book, Think and Grow Rich, and I did what the book said. That was my coach then. But I went and I got another coach, and I always have coaches. To this day, I still have coaches and mentors. Because they can go, Joseph, do this, and I don't ask questions. I just do it. I just became your coach and your mentor for the last hour. And if you do this, I promise you, you're going to go further, faster. You would have had no other way of learning this. Ariane called me or sent me an email about 3 weeks ago and asked me to do this. And I said, of course. Because this is my way of giving back. And the only thing I ask for you is you become a coach as well. So I'm sorry for the long answer, but yes, you get a coach, and they're all over the place. Find a good one, if you will.
And Joseph, thank you very much for your time and energy. It's been a pleasure to spend this hour with you. Actually, you said that you must know what you want. And my question is actually about that point. You also told that in your story, there were a lot of career changes. How to have this courage, especially in time we have now, to change your desires, to change maybe something that you had to settle actually new goals for yourself. And for me personally, that is actually a struggle to change goals, because I had so many of them quite obvious for me, but now I need to change them dramatically. How to find this energy and actually, I don't know, this picture of new goals for yourself? Thank you.
Yes. That's a really good question, because a lot of people do that, especially, when you got to pivot, you got to make a change. So I always say to people, first off, do the exercise. Do the exercise for 10 days, and then do not try to make the change until you've done it for 10 days. Because here's what's going to happen. I want you to write down everything that you would like to do first. Okay. Write it down. I always say this, what you write is what you invite. You write down what you want, and then you prioritize it and say, this one is the one that makes me the most happy. This is the one that makes me the most money. This is the one that makes me, and you decide which one it's going to be. Your heart will tell you, you'll feel it, because the reason you ask this question right now is because you're not sure. Because you're not certain. But when you start to do what I said here, you're going to become more certain about yourself, and you're going to become more certain about everything. And you're going to go, of course, that's the thing that I'm going to do. That's the thing that makes me feel the best. That's the one that makes the most sense. That's the one that I'm going to do. So then you'll be approaching something from a standpoint of certainty versus uncertainty and confusion. Simple. All right, any other
question on the chat from Adam about where do you recommend to find a coach, and how do you understand who is a good coach?
Well, a couple things. First off, there's lots of different coaches on lots of different things. If you want a business coach on how to, run this type of business, then find somebody that is doing the type of business that you do. And there's this crazy new thing that all the kids are using called the internet. I don't know if you've heard of it, but if you go in Google and you put business coach for sales or whatever, then you're going to get a whole list of them. Now, here's what my recommendation is find somebody that is a mentor, not just a coach. And that means somebody that a coach is somebody that can give you some insight and inspire you and things like that. But coaches are not always better at the thing that they're coaching you to do. Michael Jordan or any of the basketball players or their coaches are not better basketball players than them. But if you find a mentor is somebody that's better than you at it, and somebody that's been there and done that. And so research that person and find out that, who they've coached before, who they've mentored before, and the results that they've gotten. Take your time to do it, and you can research. Now, if you go to neuroencoding.com, we have, and you just type in there, I'm looking for a coach on whatever, then my team will call you and they'll help you, not help you find somebody, but maybe they can make some suggestions as well.
Hi, thank you for your energy. And
my pleasure.
My question is, do you have some technique or for goals in business, what we should to do when we have company goals? Do we also can write and speak about that, or we should to change this technique?
No. You should use the same technique on all of your goals, but do this one first, okay? Just for 10 days. You can use this technique for anything. Listen, I'm going to tell you something. I didn't get a chance to teach this to you, but I'm going to teach you really very, very quick. It's something that I call the 60-20-20 rule of further, faster. And what that means is this. We've all heard this before, that doing anything is 80% psychology, meaning that if you think you can, then you can, and 20% mechanics. I go like this. It's 60% psychology. We already told you what you think of yourself, other people in the world around you. It's 20% the energy that you bring to the table. The energy, the electricity, the excitement that you bring to the table. Because nobody wants to follow somebody that's like this. And nobody wants to help somebody that's like this. When you have energy, you literally have electromagnetic energy going out from you. I have so much I could teach you. But the third thing, and this is really, really important, is something that I call magnetism. And it's not the laws of attraction and things like that. You literally become a magnet to the things that you want. So when you write your team and what you want, your goals down, and you do it the same way that I did here, then you start attracting that stuff to you, and you start attracting people to you, and you have that energy. It becomes a loop. So use the same technique, but use it for this first, just for 10 days, so that you can feel better. Remember what I said, this is about you first. Psychology is what you think of you first. So you don't have hope and you don't have doubt, you have certainty. Do that first, and then use the same process for your business goals and for your financial goals and everything as well. It's a great process for everything. Anytime I go do anything at all, I start here.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So it looks like Dimitro.
Yes. Hello. Thank you for your session. One question. These goals or vision which we should write, about our vision to our life in future, or it's should be very close thoughts vision about life in few 1 year or 2 years?
Great question. Great question. Write it for within the next 6 months. Okay. Because you'll progress through time, but I want you to write it like this: I and your name am or have. Yeah, I want you to write it as though it's happening right now. Don't say in 6 months it's going to happen. Write this first thing: am. This is what I want. This is what it will be. This is how it is. That way you'll start to believe that it's happening right now, because you got to start. Remember I said, you plant the tree right now. It doesn't matter what happened in the past. You plant the tree right now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Thank you. And one more question.
Yes.
We have goals from ourselves, and it can be more bigger than company goals in this moment. What should to do? Change our goals or company goals?
No,
how to manage this?
Don't change your goals. Adjust the goals for the company. And what that means is, if you have a goal, your personal goals for, let's just say, $1 million a month or a year or whatever, adjust the company's goals, meaning how the company is going to do it so that you can get that. So I always tell people, you know, if you got a goal, listen, the Wright brothers had a goal that they were going to fly, and everybody else said nope. And that was a big, big goal. Everybody else said no. So don't change your goals. Adjust your goals for other people as well, because sometimes, you know, people are, most of the time, people are not going to work as hard for your goals as they are for their own.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I think this will probably have to be our last question, because I was told I had to stop in an hour and a half. I think we have Roman Gushel.
Yep. Hi, Joseph. Amazing vibe. Thank you for your session. It's just mind-blowing. Yeah, I have a pretty complicated question, maybe related to personally to me. So the history is I've been doing this tracking for my goals for the last, I think, 4 years. I developed my own framework. I've been like tracking goals depends on 4 categories: social activity, mental health, physical health, business. I had like dozens of goals, small items in each of category. I've been doing this like first 2 years. I've been doing this every day, tracking the goal in each item day by day. But I found out that it made me really I wouldn't say unhappy, but it put a lot of pressure to check those goals every day, and I felt that I wasn't really enjoyed the whole process. Then I switched from actually daily goals to monthly goals, and I felt that I started to feel maybe more free, to have more space to make the small pivots during this bigger slots. And even after that, I'm doing this year, I'm even more generalizing those big time slots. What do you think about this approach?
First off, I don't know you. I can't even see you, but I can tell you what your biggest challenge is. And I'm not going to tell you, you're going to tell you, okay? First off, here's a question for you. Have you reached any of your goals that you've written down over the last 2 years? Any of them?
Yeah.
Stop. So the answer is yes, okay? So what did you do when you reached those goals?
Yeah, I missed part of celebration. Actually, this is my biggest problem.
Now
Yeah.
I can see you. That's your biggest problem, my friend. It is the reason why when you went from daily to monthly, you felt better because you didn't have as much time to beat yourself up. Because when you check it every day, you go, oh, this is, I don't know you, but this is probably how you check your goals.
Yeah, it's me.
Yeah. Okay. Whenever you go like this, your brain is releasing something called cortisol and epinephrine, which makes you feel bad. It makes you go into what we call your sympathetic nervous system, which is fight or flight. And so it doesn't feel good. And even though you're accomplishing something, you don't feel good. So instead, here's how I want you to do it. Yes, check it every month or wherever works. But at the end of every day, celebrate, my friend. You want to see how to celebrate? There it is right there. Watch. That's all you got to do. Celebrate. Listen, everybody that can hear me, this is the last thing I'm going to say because I got to get off of this. The last thing I'm going to say to you is this, is that you are amazing. You're absolutely amazing. You've already accomplished way more than everybody else just to be on this call. I know this about you. I don't know you all personally, but you're so freaking hard on yourselves. Celebrate. Give yourself a, listen, I don't know you, but I could name 1,000 things that you're already successful at. You can ride a bicycle, you can tie your shoes, you can drive a car, you can speak your language, you can do all of these things, but you never celebrate. Remember, whatever you repeat is what you will believe. And so if you repeat celebrating just anything at all, then your nervous system is going to go, I'm a badass and I can do anything that I want. Type of 1 if that's what you want. And then you'll feel good. And if you feel good, then you'll do more. And if you do more, then you'll think better. And if you think better, then you'll feel good. And you'll feel more, you'll do more. It's a loop. It is the biggest thing. Listen, I've had the privilege of working with some A-list people, amazing people. And they all suffer from the same thing. This is the one most important thing that I can teach you. So again, I appreciate your question, my friend, but I could tell that even when I couldn't see you, that was what you were doing, is that you were not celebrating. Everybody's celebrating. Lastly, I'm going to say this. First off, thank you, everybody. I hope what I've said to you and what I've brought to you is of value to you. And the only thing that I ask you to do is do it and teach it. You don't have to give me credit for it. Teach it. We need to change the world. Like I said, you go ahead and dream. Go ahead and decide what it is that you want for you. Make it happen, but then teach it to other people as well. That's how we're going to change the world. The last thing I'm going to say is this. Remember this. Life is exactly what you dare to make it. And fortune favors the bold. And so the trick to life is to boldly step up and dare to make your life magnificent. Do this exercise. Ariana is going to let me know, maybe we can talk again at another time. I love you. You're in my prayers, your country, your family, everything. Keep doing what you're doing because you are the leaders that are going to make the difference. I love you. I'm out.
Thank you.